And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you, Akwabai, and welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Rasta Report here on LIV Radio, LIV TV here on livingintheblack.com. My name is Katie Owadu, aka the Conscious Rasta. Weekday mornings, you and I get together live. We come at you from 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. GMT, and 8 p.m. East Africa time. We get together with you and we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspective. We deal with entertainment, economics, education, health, labor, law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all areas of human interactivity and development. Today's date is Friday, the 13th day of February. Friday the 13th is a fortunate day, a very wonderful day in ancient Kemet, to which we realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium, the year 2026 in the Western Gregorian calendar. This corresponds to the year 6266 in the Kemetic calendar, to which we realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, and livingintheblack.com. Hey, let's talk about what we have on station for you today. I think we have a treat. This is our ongoing African Hour Story celebration. We're taking the months of February and March, not only celebrating African history, which is our global history, but I'm also celebrating my personal journey. I am taking you step by step through the process of the unfolding of the Conscious Rasta Press. We began with the first, we're up to 10 issues now. As you know, we did 10 the first week. This is the 20th issues. Today we're doing 19 and 20 of the Conscious Rasta Report. And actually there were a couple of other reports that I have not put back into print. So we're just stepping through a lot of books. And I have a good conversation for you today. Welcome to the Conscious Rasta Report. On this African History broadcast, we elevate critical research and advanced health and cultural strategies. In today's show, we begin with a process to build perfect health through nutritional science and ancient wisdom. We say living superfood research. Don't get sick. Stay off drugs and live a long time. That's the code for today. Don't get sick. Stay off drugs. Live a long time. In our second hour, we're going to take you through a practical plan for self-determination, offering a blueprint for Black self-reliance through Kujichagulia villages, our version of intentional communities. Based upon Kwanzaa principles, it outlines land acquisition, cooperative economics, food security, education, and governance for sustainable Pan-African enclaves worldwide, fostering cultural revival and independence from oppressive systems. So that's what we have on today. It's going to be a lot. I'm going to be talking fast. I'm only going to give you a sketch of what the books are about. I will need you to, if you can, and I'm going to ask that you can, I made the books very well priced. For the lessons you get, the books are superbly priced. But we're going to be asking that you support that Conscious Rasta Press, support the work I do by buying the books. Don't just buy them. Read the books. Buying the books is good. I get a chance to celebrate passing the Yankee dollar into the hands of other people like us. We circulate the money. When the money circulates, we all work. But when the money does not circulate, we stop working. And we should keep working. So I want to welcome you to the broadcast today. If you're in the house, check on in with us. I do see no one is in the house on the Rumble family. And I'm looking right now at the YouTube page. Excuse me. And no one yet checking in there. So do check in. We want to hear from you today. One sec. Let's go forward. We're talking from the book, Living Superfood Research. Let me give you an insight that I put on the back of the book. This is the short introduction. Your life is a celebration. You are the product of the perfect marriage of spirit and matter. You were not born to endure years of physical and mental suffering. We profess throughout Living Superfood Research that eating must always remain a joy in life. As a daily routine, our nutritional regimen should be a confirmation of expecting the miraculous within our lives. Being healthy, vital, and energetic is true wealth, and this is available to any of us, despite any particular social or economic class. Most people are realizing that they must take control over their diet as the most logical and practical manner possible. We can all eat healthy, gourmet. The ability to prepare tasty dishes that are also great for our mental and physical well-being is so incredible. Beyond delicious and healthy, the living superfood nutrition and detoxification lifestyle rejuvenates, restores, prevents disease, and erases pain, even allows one to reverse the processes of aging. This is your miracle and your choice to unleash or suppress it. Now we can choose to live with the blessings of vitality and longevity. Or we can follow the crowd and continue committing suicide. You should know by now that the standard American diet is associated with a lot of chronic diseases. Junk food and fast food are even worse. We want to focus on the positive, the joys, tastes, and the awesome energy which results from conscious eating. This transformation can become a habit within a few days. It is your willpower and that determines the pace of transformation. Give yourself a chance to have this miracle in your life. The full spectrum hypernutrition. Give it long enough to confirm what is being documented throughout this book. I feel confident that you will conclude that the Creator loves you tremendously and wants to deliver your miracle as soon as you are ready to claim it. This book is very lengthy. It's a long book. I'm going to race through it. We have about 45 minutes to just give you the highlights of the book, and hopefully I will put it all in the context that you will want to be with us. What if you discovered the secret to the fabled quest for the mythical fountain of youth? You discovered it. And you came into firm possession of such a magical resource so that someone who continues to drink from your fountain is blessed with a long life and exceptional vitality. What if you were absolutely convinced that drinking from this fountain worked because you had been doing so for an extended period of time and were thus celebrating your own increased energy, stamina, and vitality in a way that made you feel like you were today half the age you were just months before? What if those seemingly unavoidable symptoms of aging, such as gaining weight, diminishing eyesight, sexual dysfunction, and general weakness, as well as susceptibility to disease and disorder, were no longer a concern for you because you were completely in control of your body's natural abilities to heal itself? What I am describing sounds like a miracle. Would you agree? Yes, miracles do happen. And what I've just described is the way I live, what I've come to know from tapping into this incredible wisdom of living superfood. It's the greatest thing I have ever done for myself. I've extended my life expectancy to at least 120 years. But I do have to remain very disciplined through everything. I don't compromise at all. I do not do junk food. I do not do fast food. I do not do restaurant food unless it is blessed food, such as Ethiopian food or Indian food. And even then, I have to be strict. So now this magnificent journey begins with your decision to try something new. I'm going to go forward to the first chapter. I've introduced the book. We're talking about the body is a temple. It's not a machine. The body is a temple. And you must keep this temple clean, purified, and you must give the temple what the temple needs so that your body temple can rise to its greatest potential. Let me take a moment and say hello. I see you in the house, Joshua K.M. Power. And I believe you're here in Las Vegas too, aren't you? We need to be getting together talking. Let's talk on Saturday. If you have my number, you can always text me at 702-580-0662. Text me. Let's get together. I see Eddie's in the house. Eddie says, Good Friday to everyone. So grand rising from Joshua K. Power, KM Power. And grand rising, brother. Good Friday to everyone, says Eddie McCroy. Chapter 2 of the book, The Health Crises in Perspective. I began with this quote from Chris Hedges. We now live in a nation where doctors destroy health, lawyers destroy justice, universities destroy knowledge, governments destroy freedom, the press destroys information, religion destroys morals, and banks destroy the economy. Chris Hedges. And also this quote, very famous quote from Hippocrates, let food be your medicine, let medicine be your food. And first I go into a bunch of research on healthcare reform. Is there still any reason to worry? This is after the so-called Obamacare, which was actually initially called the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. They immediately dropped all ideas of patient protection, quietly dropped it. And the Affordable Care, health care inflation has outstripped the inflation of the country by 3 to 4 points every year, except for during the first couple years of the pandemic. And then it outstripped national inflation by 10%. We talk about the Uniform Commercial Code. And that's serious. Let me just one was published in 1952. Its stated intention was to harmonize the laws of sales and other commercial transactions in all 50 states. But it's not what people say it is. I'm just going to tell you that. Something is terribly wrong with the U.S. healthcare system. My position regarding this healthcare crisis is that regulatory agencies at all levels have largely failed and for the foreseeable future might be incapable of correcting this disaster toward optimized healthcare. Thus, if we are to protect our individual, family, and community self-interest about health outcomes, then we are going to have to take control of individual, family, and community resources and implement our effective strategies. Flawed government policies regarding as to what they term is appropriate, quote, health care center around vaccinations, which many, including myself, vehemently opposed, pharmaceutical drugs, chemotherapy, radiation, intrusive testing, shielding industries which serve as foundation for the standard American diet, which is itself disease promoting, long-term drug therapy, unnecessary medical intervention and surgery, as well as continued partnership with the very cosmetic, chemical, transportation, and manufacturing industries that contribute to an extensively toxic environment. That is at the core of the poor health status within this country. So going forward, are you happy with your body and those of your children and family? That's an honest question. There's no stigma. I'm not putting any stigma on you. I'm just asking that question. Are you happy with your health, your body? Are you satisfied to be on high blood pressure medicine for over a decade? Diabetes medicine, cholesterol medicine, until finally those medicines trigger cancer. We've documented that in other books. We're going to be talking about that later as we get to some of my more recent books. Are you happy? I often ask people about their perception of their health, nutrition, body structure, as well as the health of their children. Significantly less than half unhesitatingly express dissatisfaction, or seemingly less than half, significantly less than half, express satisfaction with their body. Maybe it's just the people that I hang around, or maybe this shocking statistics on declining health in the U.S. are correct, indicating that this nation is, quote, fat, sick, and nearly dead, unquote, when it comes to the general health of many within the Republic. Going forward, skipping forward, please take a look at your children's bodies and question as to whether you are best preparing them for a lifetime of health, vitality, respectability, and self-esteem. Especially if you are not happy with your physical health. Do not compound your dissatisfaction by producing children who are as sickly as yourself or more so. We've got to take this change for the continuity of generations. We've got to make this change. The consequences of the current course of suicide and catastrophic rates of chronic disease are disastrous. Our children's generation is sicker than ours. And baby boomers, we made so many mistakes. Generation X, people in Generation X are dying of cancer. They're getting diagnosed with cancer in their 30s and their 40s. And others are dying of cardiac disease, etc. We're going to do better. We are going to do better. At least those of us who are with us today in the LIB radio family. Joshua K. Empower says, yes, I am in Las Vegas. Okay, I will call you. Now, we were supposed to get together about a month ago. Now, I'm not forgetting that, but I'm not going to hold that against you because it was a crazy time in all of our schedules. Let me just say greetings to each and every one of you. Nobody tuning in on YouTube at all. I don't know if that's right. I do see some eyes are there. Not in YouTube, in our Rumble family. The eyes are there. But nobody's saying hello. At least I can rely upon Shabaka, For Africa One, and a few others. Come on, say hello today. How do you rate your knowledge of health and nutrition? That's what this book is really all about. How do you rate your knowledge? This was a profound transformation in my life. This book changed my world. I live by this book now. And I live based upon the research, some 40 books built on top of this. So we are on a move. Ignorance is at the core of the crisis, this crisis of disease, disorder, gullibility, and dependence upon the entities which make people so sickly. This deficit is in practical intelligence is partly due to being emotionally bound to bad habits and partially due to the pervasive misinformation propagated through consumer marketing. Remember, always that media is funded by profit-motivated corporations and by many of the biggest advertisers are toxicity-producing food and personal care industries. There's also significant media sponsorship coming from the medical and pharmaceutical industries. Even many of the seemingly science-based advertisements and news stories are rife with deception. They are often exposed as distorting key facts, obscuring or omitting critical details, and leading people to the false assumption that the sponsor of the message can be trusted with our well-being. When it comes to our health, along with that of our children, it serves us all to best to take time out each week, if not every day, to research accurate information about how to attain health, vitality, avoid toxic exposures, and what is safe to stay in our whole body wellness. Now, I'm going to go forward. The last subchapter in chapter 1, we have a workable solution. That's living superfood. Chapter 3, the 7 principles of optimal health. This becomes one of the first profound lessons that appeared in this book, the 7 principles of optimal health. I began with a quote from William London. To ensure good health, eat lightly, breathe deeply, live moderately, cultivate cheerfulness, and maintain an interest in life. Quote from William Holden. 7 principles to live by. Number 1, the breath. When it comes to prioritization of the critical nutrients that we need to survive, most people don't think of the primacy of oxygen. It is the one nutrient that, when lacking, will cause the fastest injury and death. Most of us get panicky when denied oxygen for more than 20 seconds. With training, we can learn to hold our breath for longer periods. I have, at times, been able to hold my breath for 2 minutes or more. In 2010, a 37-year-old Frenchman, Stéphane Issoud, shattered the record for holding his breath underwater for 11 minutes and 35 seconds. He reportedly trained for months for the event and afterwards said, quote, it will take him 2 months to recover. Months later, that record was devastated by a Swiss diver, Peter Collat, who held his breath underwater for an amazing 19 minutes and 21 seconds. Unbelievable. 19 minutes, 21 seconds. And lived to talk about it. For our best self-interest, the world record for oxygen deprivation is the exact opposite of what we wish to accomplish. Still, it is a fact that most of us don't breathe in an optimal pattern. So, skipping forward, we're talking about multiple techniques for breathing. One that I engage in every day, at least one time a day, is called box breathing. And I do talk about the Buteyko method. This is very important. I'll give you a description of box breathing in a second. The Buteyko method, named after Ukrainian-born Dr. Konstantin Buteyko, revises, quote, breathing habits to reverse the progression of an illness. The gist of the Buteyko method is to regulate the breath not by over-breathing, but by encouraging the practitioner to breathe, engaging the practitioner to breathe shallow, slow, and steady. This technique is said to be excellent in managing and even curing asthma without medication, lessening painful symptoms, and useful for overcoming a broad spectrum of physical disorders. Like many groundbreaking medical heretics in the U.S., Buteyko was persecuted terribly by his fellow medical colleagues in Russia because of the discoveries of his ability to treat patients without drugs. Skipping forward, I'm reading a quote about this method. From the point of view of Konstantin Buteyko, a human body is, quote, the perfect machine. And it's a temple. We distinguish the difference between a machine and a temple much later. As many famous doctors and scientists have done, he used his own body and mind to experiment with his method. Constantine practiced his method and followed a particular lifestyle that promotes physical and mental health. In the final period of his life, Buteyko came to the conclusion that a reduction of breathing leads to clarity of mind, inner peace, and calmness. Additionally, he found out that it promotes intuition, telepathy, and other types of extrasensory perception. And it goes on. But I want to tell you about box breathing, which I have been doing. One of my favorite methods for meditative healing and restful breathing is using a 5 or 7 count cycle. This is box breathing. Breathe in for 7 count, using the heartbeat as a good rhythm. Without compressing the air, hold it at its apex for an additional 7 count. Exhale slowly, again counting 7, and then hold at the exhale bottom for about, without constricting the air, and count 7. Now, for if you're a beginner, you don't want to use a 7 count, use 5 count. Use your heartbeat as a measure. Box breathing. Using a 5 count, this results in a breathing rate of 3 breaths per minute. Using the 7 count, the breathing rate is just over 2 breaths per minute. Controlled breathing is quite relaxing, sparks the creative imagination, dramatically lowers stress, and reduces and promotes a slower metabolism, which is associated with longevity. Water, hydration, number 2 of our 7 principles. About 70% of the surface area of this magnificent planet upon which we live is water. Similarly, our body is about 60 to 70% water. Depending on one's level of healthy hydration. The brain is said to be 70% water. Water is the greatest percentage of our muscles, lungs, and blood. We need water to regulate body temperature, move nutrients throughout the body, transmit chemical communications, hormones, remove waste, and as well as protect our joints and organs. Undeniably, hydration is fundamental to a healthy body. Let's go forward. And I talk about all kinds of water. We talk about the different types of water. You can drink tap water, reverse osmosis, filtered water. You can drink distilled water, alkaline water. We talk about why some people avoid spending money on alkaline water, while some people absolutely love it. I tell you the difference. People often ask me, do I drink alkaline water? I say I will drink it, but I don't necessarily believe in the ideology of alkaline water. Pouring alkaline water into an acidic stomach neutralizes the impact of the acid and the alkaline. So it neutralizes itself. Solid block carbon filtered water. We talk about bottled drinking water along with what those numbers mean on the bottle that you're drinking from. And we talk about the contaminants in water, microorganisms, disinfectants, disinfection byproducts, inorganic chemicals, organic chemicals, radionuclides. So drinking water is real bad, and why drinking bottled water is almost the same as just consuming tap water, because it is filtered tap water. Next, third principle of optimal health, food nutrition. The very heart of the living superfood regimen is about food and nutrition. I have coined a phrase that sums up the strategy concerning getting proper amounts of hydration, vitamins, minerals, proteins, enzymes, essential fatty acids, amino acids, and crude fiber within our meals. I call this strategy full spectrum hypernutrition. I am convinced that this is one of the greatest discoveries of recent centuries for the benefit of disease resistance, vital energy, and longevity. Those 8 key critical elements of nutrients that I just mentioned, I've never seen anyone mention all 8 of them in one sentence. As the subject of nutrition will be woven so deeply throughout this Living Superfood research book, I won't dwell upon it in this short subchapter, except to re-emphasize the importance of nutrition in context with these 6 other important areas of health maintenance. Next up, exercise. For more than 30 years, a combination of excess weight, sedentary lifestyle, and an unhealthy diet has been second only to tobacco as a preventable cause of death and disease in the U.S. However, since the 1960s, tobacco use has declined by a third, while obesity rates have doubled, significantly impacting the relative contribution of these factors to the disease burden. Obesity, combined with insufficient exercise, has been linked to increased incidence of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, diabetes, arthritis, as well as cancer. In the book, Get the Weight Off, which we'll talk about Monday, I list that there are some 33 different diseases that are associated with obesity. So that's a little bit about the food and nutrition. So exercise, we're on this one. And let me just tell you what I do. I do periods of exercise every day, all day long. I wake up in the morning, I do 20 minutes of core exercise. It's based on the research that I started in this book. I've been doing this for years. Then that's followed by in the early afternoon, I do my radio broadcast. And then right after the radio broadcast, I will engage in Tai Chi and my first set of push-ups. Then another round of Tai Chi and my second set of push-ups. And somehow throughout the day, I will engage in a third round of Tai Chi and my third set of push-ups. Yesterday, I was able to do in those 3 sets 850 push-ups for yesterday. That's pretty good, you would say, especially for a 70-year young man. That's the value of exercise. It keeps me young, fit, vital, energetic, and all of that. So we're doing the best we can to do the best that we can. And we're encouraging all of you to be like me. Next, number 4, fasting detoxification. Oh, I didn't tell about the going out. I go outside and I run for 10 minutes in the cold weather, and in the summer weather for 20 minutes. That's called HIIT, high impact interval training. Look it up. Research what high impact interval training will do for your body, and then get into your routine. You'll find out that once you're in the routine, you actually look forward to it. When I go outside every morning and I take those first steps on my 10-minute HIIT routine, I love it. I love it, love it. Next, 4, fasting and detoxification. Later, I'll go into my extensive fasting detoxification strategy, which a routine which begins with initiation, way of creating a break between my regular pattern and the fast. 2, colon cleansing, working to completely empty and clean out my lower digestive tract. 3, parasite cleansing. We each need a plan to rid ourselves of these unwelcome pests. 4, liver and gallbladder flush. This is a bit tougher, but I engage it twice annually. Number 5, targeted system cleaning, using specific juices to clean specific body systems. Number 6, chelation therapy, using supplements that bind to and remove heavy metal toxins. Cellular rebuild, recovering the weight that reduced during the extraction stages. And then 12, post-fast maintenance, sustained nutrition to retain benefits of the detoxification fast. My sustaining is excellent right now. I weighed in this morning at a very light, but it's within my range of desirable weight at 139.4 pounds. That's pretty good. And it is a little lighter than what I weighed when I was 25 years old. And as I'm getting older, I do find I appreciate my weight being as light as it is. And also I'm able to keep up my strength, and I'm able to do my 16-8 fasting, intermittent fasting schedule. Next, sleep, rest cycle. Number 5. Was that number 5? Yeah, this is number 5, rest, sleep cycle. Sleep is supreme. I can't say enough about it right now. Most of us don't get enough sleep. We need to be getting 6 to 8 hours or 9 hours if you're healing yourself of sleep every day, quality sleep. We need to do this so much. So get your sleep. Don't deny yourself to sleep. Just one paragraph. For many of us, this hustling lifestyle, forever driven by daily demands which include our work routine, recreational activities, internet distractions, electronic entertainment, and the occasional love-making session. Sleep is one area where we have habitually come to sacrifice time to fit other priorities into the day. For me, this is an area where we have needed improvement, Most days I am up long after midnight, nearly every night, and I cured that. I'm only up to midnight now when I'm finishing a book. Most nights I'll go to bed by 10 p.m. Cramming in writing time as well as preparing living superfood for the next day. Yes, sleep is as important to our long-term well-being as each of the other 6 principles. It's largely regulated by the supreme master of the hormonal system, the pineal gland. The pineal regulates our relationship to the circadian rhythm. In other words, it keeps us in sync with day and night all year long. Humans evolved to work during the daylight hours from sunup to sundown and to rest during the dark hours. Contrary to other species who hunt at night and rest during the day. In the past century or more, we have seen our fundamental relationship to the circadian rhythm thrown completely off. This shift is largely the consequence of the electrification of our homes, extending certain industrial production into graveyard shifts, as well as more recent development of electronic information flows and entertainment, much of which is consumed long after the sun has set. So, problems associated with sleep deprivation include 1. Problems with memory, 2. Depression, 3. Increased susceptibility to opportunistic infections, 4. Increased perception of pain, 5. Problems focusing at the workplace, and 6. Dangerous driving conditions. You need your sleep. You need to get it worked out with your pineal gland, which produces the melatonin, a very important hormone for your optimal survival. Now we're going to go to psycho-spiritual orientation, our 7th of the 7 principles of optimal health. There can be no debate as to the critical importance of our psychological and spiritual attitudes when it comes to optimizing our health. The influence that the organic brain has over all our body systems functionality is easily understood, yet most of us don't pay attention. Here's just a couple of things that I suggest you do. I'm skipping forward. Number 1, rise early in the day to greet the sunrise. Learn to enjoy the sounds of birds singing praises for the new day. Saturate your lungs with cool, moist morning air. Feel the first rays of the sun kissing your face while charging up your immune system with vitamin D. 2. Plant a garden filled with flowers, vegetables, herbs, fruit trees, and other creative elements. Realize that as you attend to your garden and nurture it to its fullest potential, it is constantly renewing you and rewarding you with oxygen, food, and creative opportunities. 3. Throughout the day, carry a brilliant and sincere smile with you as your perfect makeup. A smile is one commodity that only increases the more that you give it away. Practice the laughter meditation as often as you practically can. It's good exercise too, good for your core. Ha 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 ha. The laughter meditation. You'll find that as you practice it, you will actually begin to enjoy the rewards from laughter. And then there's more. There's a bunch of instructions for you and I to do. The 7 principles of optimal health. That's that chapter. Chapter 4, a hierarchy of eating styles. This is the next critical lesson. It is a hierarchy. There's the lowest of the low. There is the highest of the high. The lowest of the low when it comes to this, and I describe them all in detail, but I'm just going to go through it quickly right now. Number 1, the lowest of the low, junk food. Junk food. Number 2, fast food. And that includes restaurant food. Number 3, the standard American diet, SAD. Number 4, the modified standard American diet. Oh, I don't eat pork. Okay, but you do everything else that Americans do. And therefore you suffer. You suffer. Number 4, that's number 4, modified SAD. Number 5, vegetarians. Number 6, vegans. And number 7, 80-20 vegan, 80% raw, 20% cooked, is the first stage that I believe that we can come into the optimal health that can maintain our life. Now, you can go much further. That's number 7. Number 8 is detoxifying nutrition. Number 9, raw food eating. Number 10, living superfoods. And number 11, orthomolecular medicine. When I'm healing myself, when I have a client who's reporting to me, hey, I'm so sick I could die, or if the person has cancer or some serious advanced disease, I recommend orthomolecular medicine is what you're going to eat. So I go through each of those in detail as we describe. Let me describe one of them. Let me describe the orthomolecular medicine. Ooh, this is all so good. The 80-20 vegan, detoxifying nutrition, raw food eating, living superfood, and then orthomolecular medicine. Ultimately, we aim to be secure in our knowledge and awareness of that every bite that we eat, every drop we drink, contributes to health and well-being. Because you are reading this book, you likely have had a chance to be exposed to the positive benefits of eating fresh, organic, enzyme-rich, living foods, and the nutrient density of superfoods. When our dialogue rises to incorporate food as nature's most perfect medicine, as well as nutritional healing, we've come to a level of cutting-edge research known as orthomolecular medicine. And the term orthomolecular was coined by 2-time Nobel Prize winner Linus Pauling, PhD. He used the term to describe his protocol for using vitamins to treat psychiatric patients successfully. The idea of using food as medicine goes far back as history. Skipping forward. Ooh. Let me read this. This is going to be good. One research team, the African Foundation for Medicine, one research team from the University of Manchester, KNH Center for Biomedical Egyptology, referenced this African Foundation for Medicine in an article entitled Egyptians, Not Greeks, Were the True Fathers of Medicine. And I cover this later in the book Standard Omission. But it's very good. Here's one chapter. I'm just going to skip to my analysis. So we have established that there are numerous ancient traditions for nutritional healing. The latest scientific frontier is orthomolecular medicine, which promotes the idea through raw, organic foods and juices. Orthomolecular therapies include a lengthy list of modalities, including a few which are featured throughout this Living Superfood research book. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids, fiber, enzymes, chelation therapy, and also starches, unprocessed starches, among others. And also, as well as solar therapy, acquiring vitamin D2 exposure to sunlight. And it goes on and on and on. I talk about some of the pioneers of the orthomolecular medicine, including Dr. Linus Pauling, Elevate L. Story. I have quotes from each of them. And Wigmore, a very important character in our history. And Paul Kujichagulia, who told us a lot about how we trigger an immune reaction every time we eat a cooked meal. Food is nature's most perfect medicine. I intended this to be rather brief, but it turned out otherwise. I attempted to give the reader a perspective on where he or she stands concerning the hierarchy of eating styles and their proximity to the optimal nutritional pattern. I'm going to have to wrap it up here real quick. Chapter 5, 64 advantages of living superfood. I'm going to take 12 through 17. Number 12. Living superfood nutrition reduces free radical scavengers. While necessary for fighting pathogens, too many free radicals in the blood causes stress, triggers oxidation of our cellular structures, and results in an increased aging of key components of our body systems. Oxidation within the body is quite similar to the rust, which eats away at metal. By providing a high level of antioxidants, we can preserve our youthfulness and substantially extend our life expectancy. Number 13, it inhibits inflammatory conditions that result in joint pain, nerve pain, arthritis, as well as inflammation-based autoimmune disorders. Inflammation causes mucus to accumulate throughout the body and is also known to increase the risk of heart disease. Number 14, reduces the digestive leukocytosis when the enzymes in the food are heated and deactivated, resulting in the need for the body to order up white blood cells from the bone marrow to come to the rescue of the digestive tract. Digestive leukocytosis results in dramatic redirection of our energy and is the primary cause of the infamous itis, the intense desire to sleep after a particularly stressful meal. Number 15. By not triggering the itis, we can have so much more usable energy during our daylight hours. Thus, this leads to a more productive work routine, less wasted time sitting around in a fog while the brain concentrates on sending the rescue squad into the stomach in the form of white blood cells. When energy used for digestion frees up, disease-fighting agents are kept in ready reserves to respond to a myriad of potentially harmful elements that we encounter daily. So that's just 5 of the 64 benefits of living superfood. I'm going to go forward. I hate skipping forward so fast through the book. But, we gave you what our plan was for African Hour Story. And there's just so many books. Each of these books, I've written these books. Kitty, are you still bike riding? I don't ride my bike during the winter months. It's just, I don't like the cold air in my face. But bike riding, I highly encourage bike riding. I think it's a great routine. And everyone, if you have a bike, you should do it. But right now, I have bought new inner tube for my bike, and I haven't even put it on. So, chapter 6, Triumph of the Will, retaking control over our lives. Your motivation for lifestyle change may have been a New Year's resolution, an upcoming wedding reunion, or a significant event, the possibility of a new romance. You may have received shockingly bad news from your doctor, and have read a shocking news article, or just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Whatever the primary motivation, you are now ready to make positive and significant changes in your health, nutrition, and lifestyle regimen. You vow to take control of this important part of your life. Your awareness of subjects relating to health, nutrition, exercise, detoxification, and working with outside resources has now increased. So I'm going through, and I'm going to give you bullet points, instructions. The systemic approach that I am presenting is called Living Superfood, and is centered upon several simple themes. Point 1, the human body is an amazing biological machine, a temple, capable of monitoring, repairing, restoring, and rejuvenating itself. Point 2, our bodies are designed by divine nature to function within a natural order. Point 3, by consistently having a broad spectrum of essential nutrients in the most easily digestible form and with a minimum of toxicity present within our foods, we intend to guide the body on the surest path toward optimal health, vital energy, longevity, and high performance. And there's 2 more points. Rather than suffering through dieting, which is too often based upon denial and deprivation, we prefer to eat as much as desired from a long list of health-producing foods, many of which we present as gourmet cuisine without wasting time with food that is damaging to our bodies, systems, and lastly, by attending to all of the body's internal systems with full spectrum hypernutrition, we can generate a synergistic effect by which we rejuvenate, reverse the foundations of chronic disease, repair past damage, and restore ourselves to the vital health we knew when we were much younger. So therefore, just another chapter, battling against our own suppressed emotions. Many of us emotional eaters. Next chapter, you are born to divine intention. And I give you a bunch of bullet points there. Study and practice fasting. Start each day with 2 glasses of water. Rise in the morning as close to sunrise as possible. When traveling away from home, carry your nutrition with you. Eat more slowly. Give yourself a gift of 1 to 3 hours a day in your kitchen throughout the week. Buddy up with a friend, lover, family member, or online partner, or online partner. And keep a food journal. That's very important. And lastly, at the end of each day, write an assessment of your day's nutritional accomplishments. And I'm going to close out this chapter. Oh, that is the close of it. Chapter 7, are you eating dead food? Many of us do. At the very bottom, we talked about the hierarchy. I do repeat that here. Here's this quote at the beginning. Life is a system of half-truths and lies. Opportunistic, convenient evasion. That from Langston Hughes. That's answering that question, are you eating dead food? What is it that makes food live? A workable solution is at hand. Eating living superfood is not only healthy and smart, but also highly spiritual. Numerous spiritual societies have maintained strict rules about food and nutrition, and the vegetarian raw food lifestyle has a long and measurable track record. And I'm going to skip that right there because that's really leading us up to chapter 10. Chapter 8 is entitled Eat Your Greens. Mama said eat them greens. Are greens so good for you? Greens are the equivalent of a blood transfusion. The chlorophyll in greens, in organic greens, is the equivalent to the hemoglobin in your blood. The only difference between the 2 chemical molecules is that chlorophyll has magnesium at its center and hemoglobin has iron at its center. Other than that, the 2 substances are exactly the same. You can actually use chlorophyll, pure chlorophyll, as a blood transfusion. Chapter 9, Mother Earth is calling. I quote from Bob Marley in the song Concrete Jungle. No sun will shine in my day today. High yellow moon won't come out to play. I said, darkness has covered my light and has changed my day into night. Where is the love to be found? Mother Earth is calling you. She's all around us, all around us. Chapters include the impact of migration from rural to urban living. Where is the love to be found in the concrete jungles? And the next subchapter, the most important health discovery ever, the question asked. And it talks about electromagnetic radiation. That's a serious issue that we just are not thinking about. Technology to combat the impact of technology. Go back home and spend time loving your mother nature. And then I give a bunch of bullet points, what to do, a bunch of them. Let me start in the middle. Use a part of your kitchen counter for sprouting. It's one of the healthiest ways of getting great nutrition and reconnects one with a miracle of plant life. Next, go barefoot outdoors for at least an hour or more per week. Do this even in colder weather. Next point, locate a hot spring, stream, lake, or beachfront in which to immerse your body as often as possible. Point, eat more fresh, organic, and living greens daily, along with fresh fruits. Next point, use electronic mats or wristbands properly and carefully grounded in your home's electrical system. And there's a bunch of bullet points. There's probably 15 bullet points on how to reconnect with Mother Earth. This next chapter, chapter 10, is my favorite chapter of the book because it's history and it's also vegetarian, but it's unfortunately so long I cannot share that chapter today. Let me give you a couple of highlights in it. Chapter 10 is entitled The Spiritual History of the Vegetarian Lifestyle. I begin with this subchapter. Was Jesus an Egyptian raw foodist? The answer is a complicated yes. Jesus was of the Essenes. The Essenes were said to be the greatest healers in the Fertile Crescent area. And the Essenes also, well, let me tell you what's in the chapter. I began researching the ancient history of vegetarianism. At first, I wanted to look deeper into the history of the Essenes, a Hebrew, Habaru, Apiru sect that occupied a part of the Fertile Crescent. Then Nazareth, today Israel, Palestine, from which Jesus Christos is said to have been descended. While there has been and continues to be a substantial debate about how much of the story of Jesus is historic in origin and how much of it is a myth built upon pre-existing spiritual allegory, there is no denying that major historians of the time chronicle the existence of the Essene sect. We can examine what was said about them, their connections to the Nile River Delta, and what this could mean in our interpretation of ancient history. It might be beneficially applicable to our present situation. The name Essene is said to be a Greek translation of the Aramaic word for healer. The same persists today in such words as essential or essence. There are several historians from this period of Greek entry into northeast Africa, about 650 BC, extending through the time of the Roman conquest of Egypt and the 3 times that the Romans sacked the great library they found there. And these history we carry forward. In this book, I do mention the Greek Herodotus, Philo, Epiphanes, the Gnostic historian, and later Roman Jewish Titus Flavius Josephus, as well as the Roman Pliny the Elder. All have written about the Essenes and their presence in the Fertile Crescent between the 2nd century before the Common Era to the 1st century of the Common Era. I'm going to skip over how did the ancient Essenes feed themselves. Many modern day Essene practitioners adhere to the vegan lifestyle practices. From my understanding, the priestcraft is practicing the raw vegan lifestyle with some measure of strict authority. And I go on, I give you references to all of this. The Essenes before Jesus Christos and mystic Christianity. That's a very, very important. This is such an important chapter that I was offered a priestship, of which I did accept and was ordained as a priest in May 2010, largely because of the research that's in this article. If you've never heard any of this before, don't deprive yourself of this knowledge. Don't deprive yourself of your keys to this incredible wisdom. It is profound. It is life transforming. And it is your natural inheritance. A couple more. I'm just going to give you the chapter titles. You can imagine what's in the chapter. The Egyptian origins of the Nazarene Essenes. Next chapter, subchapter. Healing wisdom proceeds from Imhotep to modern naturopathy. Next subchapter. The ancient therapeutics are oriented in modern civilization. See, the Essenes were in the Fertile Crescent, but when they got to Egypt, we called ourselves, the Greeks called us the Therapeutai. We called ourselves son of Akhenaten. Then, this is so great. Let me just read you one paragraph. Today's Therapeutai are the naturopaths who specialize in a myriad of specializations. Some of the natural healing modalities that are being advanced these days include, but are not limited to, acupuncture, aromatherapy, Ayurvedic, biofeedback, colon hydrotherapy, chelation, Chinese medicine, chiropractic, psychotherapy, dance movement therapies, holistic dentistry, ear candling, fasting, herbalism, holistic medicine, homeopathy, hypnotherapy, hydrotherapy, iridology, massage, magnetotherapy, midwifery, natural products, naturopathic medicine, nutrition therapy, reflexology, Reiki, Rolfing, Shiatsu, sound therapy, vitamins, yoga, orthomolecular or functional medicine, Karma Sutra, detoxification, and several others. The primary focus within living superfood research is upon nutrition therapy, along with complementary healing methods using fasting, herbs, vitamins, and other naturopathic nature medicine techniques. And the last chapter, the resurrection of the great mother goddess. This is the one more subchapter, reestablishing the divinity of nature. First, we must resurrect the idea of the great mother goddess. Don't talk about God and exclude God's companion, his parallel, his complement. We need to stop that. The he God is complemented by a she God. If we're looking at our bodies as a model, the she is probably more powerful than the he. So let's get that right. From the beginning of our understanding the evolution of human civilization, there existed the idea that along with a divine God, masculine, known by thousands of names within indigenous populations, there was also the immanence of the divine goddess, consort of God, God and goddess, father and mother. As great mythological parents to all life, they were equals. The ancients from the Nile River Valley referenced the masculine as Ra, the sun god, and the feminine as Untur, nature, the body of earth. These complementary patterns, parents of humanity, were also anthropomorphized as Asar and Aset. Human artifacts from as far as 24,000 years contain multiple examples of carvings of the female deity referred to in archaeology as, quote, Venus figurines. The eminence of Aset, aka the divine mother goddess, Isis, Mother Nature, and numerous other indicators throughout world history, is one of the most important facets of spiritual understanding in the millennium before the Common Era, BCE, or pre-Roman redefinition of history. And the Romans are the one who erased the great mother goddess from the literature. The Greeks did not do this. The Africans most certainly did not do this. Other groups around the world didn't do it. The Arabs did. And so we understand that we have to restore this Aset, Isis, known as the queen of all gods, quote unquote. The Romans referred to the deity as the goddess of 10,000 names, a great mother goddess. This is the early Romans. The worship of the great mother goddess is practiced in Kush, Nubia, Kemet, ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, and persists among certain West European sects, such as pagans and witchcraft. The concept of the great mother of the gods existed in numerous other ancient cultures and was worshipped under many names, including Astarte from Syria, Ceres from Rome, Phrygia, Cybele from Phrygia, Demeter from Greece, Ishtar from Babylon, and Isis from Egypt. And that's Aset, should be. The Kemetan goddess Nut, alternately spelled different ways, is another eminent goddess of the ancients and was known as the goddess of the night, sky, and heavens. Her mythological union with Geb, Brother Earth, produced the infant Aset Isis, consort of Asar. The idea of female divinity, the union of earth and sky forces, and divine progenitors of humankind are well established in many ancient spiritual expressions. So today we refer to her as Mother Earth, Earth Mother, and Mother Nature are referring to the same deification of the goddess principle. I'm going to skip forward. Chapter 11, now I'm just going to give you a couple of titles of the second two-thirds of the book. This quote, excerpted from Rainbow Green Live Food Cuisine by Gabriel Cousins. E.B. Zekley was one of the earliest and greatest holistic physicians of the 20th century. proposed that humans originally evolved from a species he called Homo sapiens sylvanus, and the forests were our natural home. Zikli also proposed that the raw foods of the forest, fruits, herbs, and vegetables, were our natural diet. When humans existed in harmony with the forest on their natural diet, lifespans were much longer, and humans lived free of debilitating diseases. This is the true paradise lost, from Rainbow Green Live Food Cuisine by my friend, Dr. Gabriel Cousins. He talks about life at the beginning. This chapter, we got to get ourselves back to the garden. Was your body created as a vegetarian? Do you run on all fours or fly? Natural meat eaters tend to be fast runners, able to chase down their prey, and in certain cases, extremely healthy, stealthy, not healthy, but stealthy like snakes, and able to get close to prey without detection. Can your fingernails function as claws? Even the people with the longest fingernails cannot stab through the hide of a fleeing animal with such a grip that the most violent action will not dislodge the hunter. Point 3. Do you have long or short intestine relative to your height? Natural meat eaters have relatively short intestines, allowing their food to pass through quickly so that it doesn't putrefy in their bowels, and also have a very strong stomach acid to break it down there. Show me your canine teeth. Are your teeth capable of ripping out the throat of the deer that you've just caught? Natural meat eaters tend to grip the throat of their prey using their canines to sever the jugular vein and cause their meal to bleed out. Is your stomach acid strong or weak? Is your saliva best suited for meats or plant-based foods? Meat eaters do not need to chew their food 32 to 48 times to allow saliva to mix with and pre-digest their food. Natural meat eaters wolf their food down, something which your wise mother told you to stop doing. Some enzymes are common to herbivores, including humans, which are not present within the saliva of natural meat eaters. If you're walking down the street and you see a wounded animal, what's your response when you see a wounded sheep? Is your first instinct to grab it and start to munch down on it right away, right there, live, or living, right there, raw? Or is your natural instinct is to take this to a vet, get the animal healed, learn to love the animal, and then eat it later? Which meat-eating animals must cook food? Name one other animal that eats meat. Name one. Name one that has to cook the food, or else the food can kill them. There is none. No other animal has to cook their food, or else they'll die. And then I go into Pottinger cat study. That's very important. Connecting with plants, reconnecting with our great mother. We revisit that once again. And then lastly, chapter 12, fasting and detoxing. I lay out my fast in much more detail. Chapter 13, sugar, the dance with the devil. The most addictive drug in history is the sugar. Chapter 14, this book has 20 chapters in it. Chapter 14, entitled Grave Dangers from Eating Meat. I've revisited that one more time. Grave Dangers from Eating Meat. Chapter 15 is entitled, that's a long chapter. Chapter 15, Full Spectrum Hypernutrition, Unleash Your Miracle. This is very important that we go ahead, we understand it now, and we're unleashing this beast in our lives. This miracle, I should say, not beast. Chapter 16, Diseases, Disorders, and Syndromes. What's the difference between them? And I'm going to close with this quote. Oh, this is funny. This is my quote. I have another brilliant idea. Why not use Pfizer, the manufacturer of the controversial cholesterol-lowering drug Lipitor, and Monsanto, the modern Dr. Frankenstein? Why don't they get together and create genetically modified pigs with Lipitor in the chitlins? Man, this would go over big time in the ghetto. Further, why put animal genes in the plants? That's backwards. Why put the pepper genes in the pig? And now GMO pigs feet will come with their own hot sauce built in. Pretty genius. And on that note, I have finished it. There are a couple more chapters here. The germ of life. Let your food be your medicine. The germ of life. And the last chapter is entitled, that's it, the germ of life. Oh, last time chapter is entitled Growing Your Own Organic Foods. That's chapter 20. That's a very important. Grow your own. I give you my recipe for creating the soil and my planting schedules and all the things you need to know before you put the seeds in the ground. You got to prepare that ground, because if you make it wrong, you do it wrong, you're going to have to undo it for the next growing season and not end up doing perpetuating the mistakes you made the first year. So get the book, read the book, and get it right. Next, we're talking about Kujichagulia villages, a practical plan for self-determination. Kujichagulia, self-determination to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. That from the creator of Kwanzaa. This book, I love this book. This book's not really large, but it is loaded. And it has adinkra symbols for each chapter. You see this one, Ji Name, fear nothing but the Almighty Creator. There's Ji Name. And that's very important. And I begin each chapter with these adinkra symbols. Here we have adinkra hene, the symbol for greatness, charisma, and leadership, all throughout the book. So do definitely get the book. Let me see if I can get a better grip on this one over here, so you can see this. Brother Eddie, I answered that question. Are you still riding the bike also? I don't ride my bike in the cold weather. Where am I at? Oh, I'm on the wrong. No, I'm on the right computer. I'm looking for this visual effects. Turn on. I have a green screen. That's what I was looking for. So now I can show you these without so much problem. Kujichagulia village is a practical plan for self-determination. Here's what it says on the back cover. We are calling upon highly motivated people with skills and resources. There are significant economic, cultural, and social challenges which have emerged that threaten our group's ability to sustain itself. Our needs persist for water, for clean water, wholesome food, expanding economics, security, education, optimal health, and freedom from incarceration. It is our vision that within the controlled environment of Kujichagulia villages, supported by binding connections to urban communities, we can reduce the gap between that which we so badly need and those vital elements which revitalize our communities and their inhabitants. The best way that we can accomplish this transforming vision is by coordinating large numbers of talented and creative people to work together to create a dynamic cultural environment. Within the villages, we operate within the very values that brought people together at the dawn of civilization, and where we share our surplus toward economic freedom and security. We must return to these traditions now to protect ourselves from increasingly hostile political, social, and economic conditions, which within increasingly dangerous cities. The key Swahili word, Kujichagulia, self-determination, symbolizes a powerful tool through which we can transform our negative trends into a dynamic empowerment in practical activities and with practical activities and predictable outcomes. Our talents and skills must be redirected to that which best serves the group's self-interest. Each of us has a critical part to play in making our self-determination practical. And so that is the book. Sorry about that. Piece of skin on my lip. Here's the preface to the 2017 edition. It's been 4 years since the first publication of this book. Much has changed and transpired over this time. The fate and destiny of blacks within the U.S., Europe, Caribbean, Africa, and throughout the globe has shifted. Yet certain basic problems affecting the group have stubbornly persisted. New challenges have appeared as well as numerous opportunities for our group to gain advantages within the rapidly shifting, technology-driven global economic order. I have found the information within this book to be of immense value when explaining many of these changes that we are witnessing today. This information has received so many compliments for its precise insights, practicality of actions, attention to areas too often neglected, and for just being one solidly grounded plan for action. I have appreciated the compliments that have been extended. Still, in the end, the bottom line is change and transformation. As such, I can't help but feel that not nearly enough has been accomplished. In those areas where momentum toward the Kujichagulia villages has been achieved in earlier years, the appearance of a devastating economic recession has taken much of the wind out of our sails. The funds for engaging village building have largely been diverted elsewhere. Much of our previous momentum came from our Living in Black social media network, which has been a major force for our efforts. In the 9 years that have followed our initial efforts, Facebook and other social media networks have had a devastating impact on our LIB unity and sense of common purpose. Our members left us in droves for the convenience of Facebook's like button and the thrill of posing as social media stars. It would have been hard to predict just how these new social media outlets would have taken so much from our global family, which peaked at about 8,500 registered members before dissolving into oblivion. I shut down Living in Black in 2016 due to lack of response from its members. The nation has sunk to a new political, social, and economic low in the aftermath of the recession. 8 years of the Obama presidency seem to have lulled many activists into slumber. On a broad spectrum of fronts, Afri-Amers have lost ground and become subject to a whole new set of stresses. Today, our group is beset by a broad set of challenges, some of which are articulated throughout this book, and some have worsened in the past decade. To the contrary, the world is turning and new empires steadily rising to displace the old and decaying. Change is good, and so we welcome these new frontiers. The theme of Africa rising had been in evidence a decade ago, but has become more solidly established by a powerful global trend as the years go by. Where we reported phenomenal growth in the wealth of certain African oil-producing countries before 2010, today a new set of rapidly growing economies have appeared on the scene. There is so much to be excited about regarding the future ahead. Since this book was first published, I have consolidated my role as a, quote, scientific futurist, unquote. And as such, I can see transformation much more clearly now and in real time. The earliest chapters of Kujichagulia villages tend to lean more heavily on the challenges that we face, challenges which are forcing our group toward deliberate processes for remedy. At a point in the book, the tone changes, and it's all about practical solutions from then on. This is what I want my readers to get excited about. I am proud to re-present this book to a new and broader audience. I think you will agree that there is great reason to be excited and optimistic about the future ahead as we consolidate sustainable development on a global basis. Africa rising, we got next. So, first chapter, we commit to self-determined reparations. And I use Osram the Insoroma, the symbol of a new beginning. Symbol of a new beginning. That's that. I have been divinely blessed to have been involved with startup and pre-existing rural development projects since I was a very small child in rural Ohio. Within the past decade, beginning in 2008, many of the members of our Living in Black social network, along with other associates, have generously supported and actively participated in my ongoing vision toward developing this vision of returning to and developing rural homesteads. Regarding 4 ongoing projects in Virginia, Louisiana, South Carolina, and Illinois, we have hosted camping retreats, constructed facilities, planted gardens and orchards, brought in multiple resources, provided valuable labor, much needed capital, and promotional efforts to raise awareness of these initiatives, further raising the founders' initial vision from that of farming to village building. We are not new to this set of endeavors, yet we feel compelled to raise the intensity of our involvement because of urgent and timely political, social, and economic changes within the larger society. The rapid pace of these changes raises serious concerns regarding our collective security and compels us to immediate and sustained action. We strive to recover, repair, and rejuvenate a large part of our people's global position. Resource management, land development, and human resource potential. All of this amounts to self-determined reparations, a word which has come to symbolize the complete restoration of a people toward their historical greatness. In essence, it encompasses the repairing. According to over a century of reparations work from many organizations and individuals, this requires recovery, repair, and rejuvenation in 9 major areas of our collective status. Number 1, compensation for stolen labor. 2, land recovery and development. 3, family and community redevelopment. 4, economic development and business expansion. Number 5, education and vocational training. Number 6, revising our historical perspective. Number 7, rebuilding our transnational relationships. Number 8, repairing our mental and physical health status. And number 9 area of reparations, overcoming the impact of injustice and the criminal industrial complex. Next chapter, there is a pressing need to separate from the cities. And that's a very important chapter. I document what is happening in the cities and why we must leave the cities. And then the next chapter, why did our forefathers leave the land in the first place? And I use the fihankra, the symbol of compounds or home. The fihankra was also the name of the community created in Ghana, fihankra, for us to return to. It's been a while. It's been 30 years since fihankra was created, and there happened to some bad things happened there, and it has since lost its momentum. The next one, chapter, something happened to the metropolitan industrial base. And this is the Aya. This is a symbol of endurance and resourcefulness. All throughout the book, you're going to see these powerful Adinkra symbols. We need to know what they are and what we can do to preserve this. Our people left the rural areas to feel more secure, to earn a decent living, and to educate the children to an even greater earning potential. Tragically, it all started turning around after several generations. Through the civil rights challenges and a series of hard-fought victories from 1954 through 1965, we gained numerous advantages in politics, economics, justice, and social structure. Yet, shockingly, things went awry after explosive riots, signaling an impending cap to our seemingly unrestricted ascendance toward urban prosperity and social equality. Those who had in previous generations left the South as itinerant farmers had been able to lift the entire family up because of their dedicated labor and newly acquired education. By the beginning of the 1970s, we began to witness signs that the road ahead would be filled with new struggles, many of which our leadership was completely unprepared to comprehend. I'm going to go forward. Ooh, this is so good. What happened when the economic base collapsed? Where did the steel mills go? What happened to the huge industrial base that kept our laborers occupied? The U.S. used to be the world leader in the manufacture of televisions, refrigerators, appliances, and most other consumer goods. Over the course of the decades of the 1980s through the first decade of the 21st century, those manufacturing facilities, along with their huge labor needs, were shipped overseas, largely due to the greed and avarice on the part of the directors of profit-driven corporations. Left behind were collapsed economic bases and subsequently increasing desperate living on the part of the abandoned labor force. A new illicit economy took the place of the manufacturing labor economy that our parents relied upon. How did the drugs get from distant locations into these urban areas? The oligarchy controlled all the mechanisms by which the new urban drug economy would take over our communities and redirect our youth into participation. The so-called drug war failed many years ago. It did succeed in turning sick and abandoned people into fodder for the prison industrial complex. It was a covert eugenics program, and now our people are bearing witness to its ultimate outcome. You should get this book. You should be reading this book every day. Feminism took a hold of many cultural values which were needed to sustain our own ethnicity's distinct historical development. Due to several trends, to too great an extent, the black man was pushed further and further away from the center of family and community life, in absolute contradiction to his historical position as provider, protector, and leader of critical group-centered needs. Television, Hollywood cinema, disco, and other means of leisure time engagement corrupted our morals and intellect on a vast scale. We were systematically led by the hidden hand of social engineers into becoming a separate and detached demographic element within America, sometimes openly referred to as, quote, the unassimilated immigrants, unquote, quote, redundant labor, unquote, quote, disenfranchised urban youth, unquote, and worst of all, quote, useless eaters, unquote. Blacks were forcibly immigrated into the United States as a source of cheap and inexhaustible labor. For the better part of nearly 20 generations, we were valued because of our labor, skills, resilience, as well as willingness to self-sacrifice. Things have turned for the worse, and for the first time since emancipation, our children have inherited a culture which is making them physically weaker, less educated, and poorer. And it begins to turn around, going into the next chapter. And I also have, all throughout the book, you can see pictures of us at the villages, actually building. We're at the villages building. This is where I'm building a solar food dehydrator. And that was really, really, I enjoyed doing this work. I love doing that work. Now our next chapter, our people are now dying off in the cities. We've found 1,000 innovative ways to die off in these cities. Marriage and childbearing rates have plunged, and now blacks in the U.S. have reached a negative fertility rate. Black men are excluded from the workforce in vast numbers, except for the extremely low compensated workforce rising within the nation's prison industries. Our predicted rise to the top demographics, which had been forecasted by the mid-21st century, has reversed itself. Others are now regarded as the new rising minorities, Hispanics and Asians. And ours is regarded as a dying population. Our children are 25 times more likely to be injured by the toxic conditions and stress of urban living than they are from gun violence. They are dying from suicide, homicide, cancer, obesity-related diseases. 1 in 7 is now obese before elementary school. Cardiovascular disease, diabetes of the youth, and other psychosocial stress-induced ailments. The medical pharmaceutical industry has become a major cause of death for Africans in the U.S. While there has been an immense and justified protest over recent years due to the shocking number of police homicides against our members, there has been little or no protest over the death toll from bad medicine. Iatrogenics, death by doctor, has become a major cause of premature death for all Americans. Annual rates of death for blacks in the U.S. have reached as high as and now have exceeded premature deaths from iatrogenics 170,000 per year. When iatrogenic death is compared to police homicides, in 2016 this stands as a stunning ratio. Iatrogenic deaths to police homicides, 425 to 1. We protest in the streets, and rightly so, against the injustices committed against black bodies at the hands of law enforcement. But not a word is said about the death at the hands of the pharmaceutical companies. You willingly go to them. You stand in line, you pay them, you pay the insurance that pays them. You do this again and again. I can't figure out why you commit suicide, race suicide, through this iatrogenics. You don't think there's another way because it's so convenient. The fast food, the junk food, the restaurant food, it's all so convenient. The highly processed food, boxed and canned and jarred food, it's so convenient. You can do better than this. You know you can. And I know you can. When we become so unstable in this environment, we lose hope. We fall into fantasy and superstition. We are over-consuming junk media, quote, reality shows, and cultural garbage specifically packaged for urban African American consumption. Drugs and food fill the void of our spiritual emptiness and lack of, quote, sweetness in our lives. Relationships that held family together for generations are now so strained that many see us as our worst enemy. The very institutions that held us together through the worst of the enslavement period have now become so damaged that they may appear unrecoverable. Raising a healthy family in the cities is increasingly difficult. People are locking themselves into homes with barred windows like many prisons. Gated communities are now large confinement centers. Now talk is about putting armed guards into schools to protect from gun violence. New urban school structures already are being built with high walls, fences, high security, and lighting that resembles low security incarceration facilities. The school to prison pipeline is growing more apparent every decade. It is becoming increasingly difficult to raise healthy families. We have got to still believe in our potential to do what our parents and grandparents could do and to make things better for the next generation. We must raise our children with a healthy self-image and appreciation of their own distinct ethnic and cultural heritage. Our youth must be taught, like other ethnic groups, to see their cultural inheritance as valuable and not subject to compromise. Like Persians, Chinese, Italians, and other ethnic groups, through Kujichagulia self-determination, we can take responsibility toward developing our own communities' economies and teaching our children to respect our culture for its true worthiness. It goes on and on. This chapter, the next chapter, notes on social engineering, is where in the book I start to turn it around, and I haven't even gotten through half the book. Notes on social engineering. We have tried and failed at praying a solution to process by petitioning to invisible deities. We must be more scientific and systematic in our approach. Social engineering is the method by which the leaders of large structures redirect the people's resources and focus toward mass mobilization aimed at solving widespread problems affecting the group. Note the following very precise formula for social engineering. This is a very precise formula. All we have to do, we have to put the inputs in, then we gain enough momentum from the formula that we can then start to feel confident that ultimately we will win this. I want you to listen. Quote, sufficient financial backing for regular utilization of mass media, constantly to communicate the desired objectives to the common man. New values can be deliberately created, disseminated, and adopted as personal and collective goals, highly desirable of achievement. But the concerted effort of the major social institutions, particularly the educational, recreational, and religious, must be enlisted with the ready cooperation of those in control of the mass media. By utilizing the various tested devices, our modern genius in advertising may alight upon simple phrases, well organized in sequence and timing, and realized and coordinated with other efforts geared to realize the grand design. But there are required a host of laborers with plenty of financial backing. That from sociologist Philip J. Allen from the University of Virginia, cited in the book The Hidden Persuaders by Vance Packard, 1957. The book comes out. This excerpt I read contains 26 separate points, which must be orchestrated together to make for a unified strategic program that will influence the lives of the group's members. These changes are intended to last for generations. Like a concert band, various critical elements of society must be guided by skilled intellect. These agencies include financial backing, education, recreation, religion, and mass media. Unless and until we put in place such a social engineering process, we run the risk of losing it all. Other civilizations have disappeared from history. We study the great historians who have brought us foundation of our successes and failures of the past. Question: what happened to the people of Sumer? They disappeared because they lost their history. Tragically, too many of our group members within the U.S. are clueless as to who are such luminary historians as Sheikh Antioch, Chancellor Williams, Drusilla Dunjee Houston, John Henry Clark, Theophile Obenga, Ivan Van Sertima, Anthony Browder, Asa Hilliard, John G. Jackson, J. A. Rogers, Yosef Ben Yakinen, Maremba Ani, and others who worked so hard to give us a world history past record that we could be amazingly proud of. I am presuming that you, because you have chosen to read this book, are not suffering from this historical literacy deficit. Still, beyond a small percentage of us that actually care whether our global historical record is being taught to our group members, does a sizable percentage of our youth, or their parents for that matter, do they even have the slightest knowledge of those great scholars, who they actually are? Our youth know more about Cardi B and the others of their ilk. I can't remember the one who recently did a thing with Nicki Minaj. They know more details about those, about Jay-Z, Kanye West, and all of that, than they do about these great scholars that I've just mentioned, led by the great Sheikh Anta Diop. We knew better than that. So now we're into solutions. There is a Kenyan proverb which goes, until the lion learns to write, the tale of the hunt will always reflect glory upon the hunters. Will always reflect the glories of the hunter. We must do a much better job of informing our masses, especially our youth, of the great historical record, which our group members should hold on to dear as their inheritance. One of the most important rules of social engineering is mastery of mass communications. We need to control such facilities to teach our people, inform them, ignite unified action, highlight opportunities, and forge appropriate responses to security challenges. As it is right now, the enemy has control over these means of mass communications, and they have elevated the most sinister, dangerous, and defamatory music. Yeah, you can almost not even call it music, but it is technically music. And this is constantly in the ears of our children at their most vulnerable and transformative time, in their early teen years and throughout their teen years. It's disgraceful, it's disgusting, and it is treacherous. Most certainly, we're going to go forward, but we're going to leave that whole phase behind. The degradation of our childbearing age women, the degradation of our childbearing age men, and turning our childbearing age men into predators. We got to stop it. When we're talking about human trafficking, there can be no worse human trafficking than that done by these record companies and these entertainment media. Land acquisition and development. Now we're in solutions. And we begin with this symbol, the Sankofa bird. The Sankofa bird, Sankofa translates to meaning go back and fetch. Land is not considered a renewable resource. Blacks haven't fully comprehended the impact of the 70% to 85%, according to different accounts, of farm acreage ownership that was disowned by African Americans during the 20th century. We had as much as 19 million acres of land under our ownership and control within our families. And now, a century later, it translates to 3 million. Our forebears worked so hard to acquire and develop this farmland. Their descendants did a very poor job of keeping, maintaining, and developing the land for the wealth of theirs and future generations. According to research from the 1912 edition of the Negro Yearbook, as cited in the book Desegregating the Dollar by Robert E. Weems, at the beginning of the 20th century, our appreciation of land acquisition and development was much more focused. I quote, "It is estimated that the Negroes were adding each year to their wealth from $20 million to $30 million. They now own about 20 million acres of land. About 20 million acres of land, or 31,000 square miles, an area almost equal to that of Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Negroes now own and operate 64 banks, 100 insurance companies, 300 drugstores, and over 20,000 dry goods and grocery stores and other industrial enterprises." That is from 1912. Again, from the book Desegregating the Dollar by Robert Weems. He is citing research from a century before. I write, churches, once the backbone institution to provide for the welfare of our people, have become something entirely different and are now being led by individuals, especially expressing markedly different values than those of their grandparents. According to research that I previously published, my study, Minister, Thou Art Bound, the Corruption of the Black Clergy in the U.S. Throughout our history, black churches served 14 critical foundations, or functions, 14 critical functions that held our communities together. Today, some 80,000 black churches in the U.S. are the last widespread institutions still under exclusive control of black leadership. They have immense resources and facilities which could be utilized toward our vision of self-determined reparations. The majority challenge with religious institutions stems from the low educational level and inconsistent values within their leadership. There are undoubtedly many outstanding leaders within these religious institutions, yet the overall momentum is still going the wrong way. One culturally inspired church, the Shrine, and let me get this right here, the Shrine of the Black Madonna, with several urban chapels, has acquired some 5,000 acres of land, of rural land in South Carolina. Purchase of the Beulah Land Farms was part of a bold vision for empowerment of the group's visionary founder, Jaramogi Abebe Ajiman, formerly known as Albert B. Cleage, Jr. He lived from 1911 to 2000. Within recent years, however, possession of the land is reportedly in danger because the second generation of Shrine leadership disputed as to how to manage church assets, including Beulah Land Farms. Where is the vision, which can be translated from generation to generation, which can hold on to vast agricultural real estate holdings and make them work for our people's true and timely needs? We will continue to outreach and develop partnerships with church leadership. As frustrating as my own efforts have been over the years toward this outreach, we cannot allow this critical institution of the church to slip away without negotiating its efforts to come forward towards self-determined reparations. If it is strictly a matter of cash, of quid pro quo, somehow we have got to convince religious leadership that we provide something that they need. Fresh organic produce and other crafts from our Kujichagulia villages could be sold on church properties in farmers markets. This could very well be an ideal bargaining chip to secure better long-term economic collaboration. I'm going to skip forward. This is really, really good writing. Hey, I wrote it. I know it's good writing. And in a familiar pattern, paralleling the massive debt and real estate scam, the medical pharmaceutical complex is currently perpetuating a massive fraud which is costing African Americans hundreds of billions of dollars annually in improper medical practices and procedures that borders on outright criminal fraud. I had a conversation with my brother Myron, and we've been talking, and I haven't heard from him. I think he did go ahead and commit to the surgery, and which is going to have him lying on his belly for 2 weeks or more. But I'm saying to him, what they're telling you, what they're doing to you, you know it's fraudulent. And he would admit it. He would admit it. You know it's fraudulent. But he says, but I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. I said, I've been giving you instructions. I tell you, read the books. He told me he bought the book, but I never saw the sales show up. He might have gotten it from Amazon. But read what I'm writing about this. It perplexes me that our people, my beloved people out here, why we don't do any better. Why we don't try harder. Right now I'm looking at the broadcast numbers. O.T. Hunter, I see you in the house. O.T. Hunter in the house. By the way, are you Kenyan? Not yet. Not yet. But I have determined my fate, my future is in Kenya. And so I will be coming to Kenya a little bit later. But if you want to welcome me as a Kenyan, I am your brother. I am born in the diaspora, but my heart, I rediscovered my heart, my soul, my future is in this beautiful East African country called Kenya. I have studied Kenya top to bottom, side to side. We're working on several strategies right now dealing with Kenya. We have found out that the Gates Foundation has done really horrible in Kenya, and they have found lots of collaborators within the government and within non-governmental organizations to collaborate with them. They're experimenting on Kenyan women. I reject that. The Kenyan health establishment needs my input. So Ote Hunter J, thank you for joining us in the house. You have found your family, my dear brother, in a peaceful place. So going forward, we're talking about recovering the land and developing the land. Ooh, let me back up. This is so important. This is so important. We talk about the medical industry. They're plundering the larger U.S. economy for over $3 trillion annually, while delivering a shockingly expensive healthcare system that, according to the World Health Organization, ranks only 41st on a scale of affordability and satisfaction when compared to 191 nations around the world. Meanwhile, a small handful of wealthy individuals are quietly buying up millions of acres of land. We know about Bill Gates and all of that. In fact, in Kenya, that's the big revelation. He said, "You are very much welcome here." Ashe, ashe, ashe. I'm grateful. I thank you, my dear brother. I thank you so much. Most people are completely oblivious to the concentration of huge tracts of Americans' farm real estate in the hands of a relatively small group of landlords. This modern feudalism is another of the many traps that have negatively impacted families through their own inattentiveness and unenlightened consumerism. John Malone and his business partner Ted Turner, along with relatively small handfuls of other billionaires, are investing in vast holdings of available acreage which can support agribusiness. And I say this, Ote Hunter J, we cannot allow these people to control African land. That's my new book. Is coming out this weekend. My new book is called, let me give you the exact title of it because the new book is very, very powerful. And the new book is entitled, bear with me, it's coming right up. My new book is entitled Biocolonialism, the Technocratic War Against African Food and Genes. And again, title, The Technocratic War on African Fertility and Food. They're coming after African women. They're using DMPA. Look it up, DMPA. They're experimenting on African women with DMPA. It's causing their blood levels to rise very high, causing brain tumors, and it's taking advantage of the trust. I'm not going to say gullibility or vulnerability or ignorance. I'm going to say the trust of people who do trust government officials to do right for them. Unfortunately, Bill Gates Foundation is up to much of this, but they're not the only ones. Bill Gates, the Rockefeller Foundation, Dow Chemicals, DuPont, Pfizer, Bayer, and Monsanto are all buying off the Kenyan leadership. We can do better than that, but we've got to hold them responsible. And I'm not going to tell about the strategies that I am personally involved in, but I am involved in Kenya. I am committed to the whole of the East African community, and that is led by its leading economy, and that's Kenya. I'm going to have to move forward. Let's go into what's in the book. Calling forth people, concerned people with skills and resources. That's what we're doing. The Akomo Ntoso, the symbol for understanding and agreement. And I put this up here so you can see this. Let me pick this out of the way. It's only going to be distracting. And this symbol is again the Akomo Ntoso, the symbol for understanding and agreement, calling forth people with concerned people with skills and resources. And here is a picture from one of our Kujichagulia village projects. This picture here, I am leading the installation of a solar power array. Unfortunately, it was not completed. We started it, we did as much as we could. In one weekend, I had to leave, and it was not completed. And from my understanding, the leaders of the village did not complete it after I had left. But we're not done, it's not done. I learned a lot on that, and we're going to do this again and again and again and again across Kenya and East Africa. We've been invited to put in a well near Mombasa, as well as to support a farm project, and I think it is a great idea. Going forward, the chapter is entitled, We Are the Most Educated Yet Dependent Group on Earth. And all throughout the book, I have pictures of us actually at the Kujichagulia villages. This is at the African village, Oyotunji African village in South Carolina. This is us showing the youth how to build, and we are building here a outdoor fire pit seating area, and it was completed, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We did custom-made benches for people to sit on. We dug out this fire pit. We lined it with stone and with other things. Next, skilled craftsman chapter, the chapter entitled Skilled Craftsmen Can Barter Their Talents for Vital Commodities Needed for Survival. And now I got to get to this part of the book. And this is another of our Kujichagulia village gatherings, this one in North Carolina. Beautiful little community. The brother who was the founder of it has since passed on to the ancestors, but we carry his vision forward, no doubt. Building political and economic sovereignty. Restoring leadership to the Council of Elders. I'm giving you the chapter titles. Building with the intention of sustainability. And this is myself pictured alongside of Baba Khalifa, of Khalifa's Kujichagulia village, 123 acres. This is Baba Khalifa at the Virginia farm. And it is absolutely a pleasure to be associated with this beautiful Baba. And lastly, I close the chapter, a new self-determining economy, 18 functions for a Kujichagulia village. So we're talking about job creation, food, clothing, shelter, security, and education, meeting the basics of sustenance for our group, providing lifelines to each of the villages for our self-developing urban collectives. And then I'm going to just name as many of these as I possibly can in 3 minutes. We're talking about number 1. This is of 18 categories. De-urbanized survival zones with housing. 1. Escape from constant pressure, encouraging unconscious consumerism. 2. Reconnecting our fractured psyches from isolation to community. 3. A haven for pregnant women at risk. 4. Rescuing our young males from urban killing zones. 5. A place for young families to homestead. 6. Reducing the overwhelming expenses of urban housing. 7. Escape from big city stress and anxiety. 8. Recovering agricultural lands lost over the past century. 9. Combating urban homelessness. And 10. Functional reparations centers. Next, we talk about elderly retirement villages. Number one, we tapping into the wisdom of the elders. Two, the council of elders as leadership. Three, low-cost retirement housing. Four, advanced residential health care for residents. Five, Section 8 housing expense support. Point six, insurance policies bequeathed to the village. Number seven, time-share housing. And then point eight, housing for the elderly scholars. Point three of the 18, healing retreats. A, chronic disease abatement, yoga and qigong classes, gourmet raw food and vegan cuisine. Next point, massage and energy therapy, weekend health seminars and workshops, detoxification facilities, a weekly healthy potluck feast. Point, exercise and fitness training. Next, category 4, campground facilities. Number 1, point 1, weekend camping. 2, group retreats. 3, leadership training intensive workshops. Point 4, survival training and emergency preparedness. Point 5, crisis housing during natural disasters. Point 6, outdoor kitchen and dining facilities. Point 7, HBCU college reunions, spring breaks. Then we talk about organic food production is the next category, of which there are 8 subcategories. Number 6, food preservation and packaging. Number 7, healing herbs, growing and packaging and distributing. Point 8, vocational training facilities. Number point 9, a convention hall. Point 10, an outdoor amphitheater, including concerts, lectures, and seasonal galas and celebrations. Point 11, agritourism. Point 12, ecotourism. Point 13, green economy home construction and training. Point 14, sound stage for media production. Point 15, a people's university. Point 16, sustainable energy development and training. Point 17, cultural tourism. And point 18, writers' workshops and book production. All of these ideas we will be doing at the Kujichagulia village. And there is another image from a Kujichagulia village of me teaching people to how to plant organic vegetable gardens. That's that. So we're doing it. The thing is this beautiful organic vegetable garden that we, the community, we planted. I went back a year later and it was all overgrown with grass and weeds. And that's kind of an example of what has been happening for a century. Our ancestors worked so hard to accomplish for us, and we neglect it. And it's all overgrown with weeds. Ote Hunter has joined our conversation. He says, I'm very committed to do away with neo-colonialism. In other words, our current so-called democratic governments that's selling its own people. Yep, you are so right. You hit right on point. That is the main theme of my upcoming book. I'm finishing the book tonight. I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish it tonight, and send it to the printer. And the book is serious. We must expose this neo-colonialism. The book is entitled Biocolonialism. What's the name of the book? Oh, darn, I put it off. I'm putting the ISBN and other information for selling the book and the book cover. I think I have finished doing the book cover. I'm going to show it later this weekend. I'm going to show it to people. It's called Biocolonialism, the Technocratic War on African Fertility and Food. And I think you will be wonderfully surprised. Let me see. I may have the book up available to look at. Then can I show you the book real quickly? I don't have time. I have to finish the program right now. and let's go forward. Thank you all for tuning in today. And he says, I can't wait to start reading your books. I've definitely bought your ideas. And Ote, Hunter J, I am because we are Ubuntu. That is what is driving us forward. I want to thank you because he is very committed. I can feel the passion from your words. You excite me, and I hope that my words excite you. That you see your part, your critical part in making our grand vision come to pass. So I want to thank you for tuning in today. To everyone out there, most of you were real quiet. I did not get not one word from our Rumble family, but I'm not dismissing you. I'm just thinking that right now you still need a little more work until you're pumped up, your courage, and you're encouraged, and you realize your necessary value to all of us collaborating and cooperating together. You've been tuned into your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio. We are LIB TV. We are livinginblack.com. I'm your brother from another mother. My name is Kedia Wadu, aka the Conscious Rasta. Do stay tuned because we got so much further to go. On your favorite, we aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV. We are truly, truly living in black.com. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you. On your favorite, we aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV, living in black.com.